Today's podcast contains references to rape and sexual violence. Some of the content may also be triggering for survivors. If you prefer not to listen, then please check out another episode.
I'm so scared of telling my story, I swear to you.
You don't really want to rock the boat and then you're kind of scared for your own position.
I thought I was at the stage of my career where I was untouchable.
I don't have the success to name someone who would take everything from me.
Give it up for Aluna Reading.
For the past few weeks, we at TheNextEpisode have been looking into sexual abuse in the music industry. It's a topic that a lot of the time people just don't want to talk about because they're either afraid to or they don't think anyone's going to listen. And a lot of the time it's warranted. It could ruin their career. Often it involves them speaking out against powerful people who are still in the industry today. But in this episode, we're speaking to musicians doing just that, talking for the first time about their experiences. They all say they've been victims of sexual assault by members of the music industry, and their stories are shocking and hard to hear. We'll come back and follow on episodes to investigate more. We want to speak to senior people in the industry, managers, lawyers, labels. That's if they'll talk to us. We've already chatted about R. Kelly on the podcast. I've been following that story for a few years and have spoken to a lot of his alleged victims. And ever since, I've been massively interested in the alleged failings of the industry. But it's never quite had its Me Too moment in the same way Hollywood did. Could that be now? I'm Ben Zand. This is the next episode. So I've just arrived at the BBC's Maida Vale studios, which is kind of a big deal for music nerds. The Beatles have played here, thousands of other musicians as well, and there's been loads of BBC Radio 1 sessions and stuff like that. And I'm meeting a woman called Sarah Gosling. Sarah presents a BBC Music introduction show in Devon, and we've got her along because it felt like a good idea to have a woman in music leading this conversation. Nice to meet you. How's it going?
Yeah, good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you so much.
So, I've come up from Devon for this, so I present BBC Music introducing in Devon and Cornwall. So I've done that for a year and a half, and I write pieces and stuff for The Guardian and Clash magazine. And when Me Too happened, it woke me up considerably to the broader context of things. And I've been hearing sort of things about iffy things happening in the music industry, and I've had comments made to me.
So you spoke to 3 female musicians who had pretty harrowing stories. Who were they?
So on Skype from LA, we had Aluna Francis. So she's half of production duo Aluna George, and they are obviously huge. Everyone knows them. I went on Spotify. I think it was 365 million streams on there. So yeah, we spoke to her from LA, and then we had Rebecca Taylor, who used to be in Slow Club. She's now got a solo project, Self Esteem. She's going on tour soon with Florence and the Machine, which is enormous. And then Chloe Howl. So she's Brit nominated singer-songwriter. She's actually got her first publishing deal at 15. So she's kind of grown up in the industry.
Before I leave you with Sarah, I just want to remind you that the women making these allegations are very established figures in the music industry, and the men that they're talking about are still working today. The first voice that you're going to hear from is this woman.
Please welcome Aluna Francis.
I'm so scared of telling my story, I swear to you. Like, I've got it here on my notes. I've got the whole story here, and I could read it out to you, but I'm just like, how do I get it out without all the consequences? I can't. I'm like, I think I have a phobia or something. I had started working on a song with somebody. We were out with a group. I couldn't get home. My phone died, and so he offered to lend me his charger. I'd asked like everyone in the hotel we were at, the staff, everyone, and nobody had a charger, and I needed to get home. Like, I feel like I have a radar for like pervy guys, right? I'm sure you all do. And I thought I was at the stage of my career where I was untouchable. And I had I had been around so many men and done lots of things like worn boys' clothes, and I always shake your hand really strong, and I'm always so clear about how musically oriented I am. I'd never slept with anyone in the whole industry. There's no rumors about me. So I thought I was untouchable, and I thought that me and this person really had a connection musically, and I thought, this is fine. And, you know, we go up to his hotel room, and it was like I was in a room with a completely different person. Like, his behaviour went from 0 to 100. So I didn't advocate for myself straight away. I didn't just like save myself immediately. I was like, I have no idea what this guy is up to. He's doing some pretty crazy stuff right now. Maybe I can. I tried to reason with him. I was like, all right, mate, calm down. Like, take your hands out of my pants, please. Like, all this kind of stuff. And he thought it was a game. So everything I did excited him more. And I kind of, the point wasn't gonna, excuse me. He crossed the line, you know. The last thing that was happening before I really got myself out of there is that he'd pinned me down, and he'd taken his trousers down, and he was trying to put his dick in my mouth. So I wrestled him off, and he was still laughing because he thought it was a game and that I was having a really fun time having a pretend rape situation. And you would think that I understood how wrong this was straight away, and I didn't. And I think there's so much shame about these kind of situations, about like, am I that stupid? Like, what's wrong with me? Why have I compartmentalized all of this just for my career? Like, that's madness. But like, musicians are crazy ambitious about getting their craft out there. And I'm not going to speak for everyone, but for myself, yeah. You're just dealing with it all the time. And then so the different levels of it, even if it goes up to a high level, you're still playing out this role of like, it's fine. And I got back in the studio with this guy.
I hate having to ask you this question after you've said this, so thank you firstly for saying it. But did you tell anyone at the time that had happened?
I actually spoke to the guy himself, and he did all his apologies and talked about how he was so incredibly sorry and this has never happened before, and I thought that I was okay, and I'm just so not. And I think.
Did you ever consider going to the police?
No.
Thank you, Aluna, for sharing that with us. Rebecca, I wonder if you have a similar story.
Something I'm dealing with all the time, every day, is what you were speaking about, of going, oh my God, that wasn't all right. Yeah. It's like a label that my then band really wanted to be on, like an American label. Their label boss was over in the UK. We were like, sort of, we all went out. He grabbed my vagina and said, am I going to have a good time in London? And I was like, went home, so I didn't say anything, didn't tell anyone. Really still wanted to be on that label. And like, it wasn't just me. I wasn't just representing myself. I was representing my whole band, and that's not just... So it's not just up to me. I can't make a fuss, I felt like, about that, because I can't jeopardize our chance. Also, it's ingrained into me, I don't know, I think it's because I'm a woman, to not make a fuss and just be as easy to deal with as possible. Obviously, I don't do that now. And if that happened to me today, my God, would it be different? And I still, you know, this said person, I see them now and again and think, you won't remember because you're blind drunk, but that's why it's such a huge defining moment in my life that I keep coming back to. But also it's a comfort now, because I know how much stronger I am now, and how the Me Too movement, for as difficult as it is so far, it needs to feel like this now, because in 10 years' time, or like the kids at that workshop that I did the other day, they might not have to be in these situations. So I hate talking about it. I don't want to think about it. I mean, and that's one scenario I've a lot through the years. But for the sake of my career, because I so badly want to make music and be successful, I've kept my mouth shut, because I still feel like today I would be a nuisance. But the difference is I'm older and I'm too tired and I'm too exhausted. And my career to me now isn't, what is more important to me right now is transparency and sort of being vocal about things like that to help other people.
All right, this is my last song now, and it's Bad Dream. It's the one that's on the Fendi Arcadia video. I hope you all enjoyed that earlier.
Chloe Howl, what about you?
So I have had a member of my team who became very possessive over me. They had a lot of control over my day-to-day life, and they kind of used that. And they began sending me quite sexually charged texts. They'd just be very controlling over my time, who I was hanging out with. I was very young. I didn't really see it. I couldn't really see it. Eventually, they actually assaulted somebody else. And I was so young, I didn't really understand the situation. You know, you don't really want to rock the boat, and then you're kind of scared for your own position in that dynamic. I've been felt up a few times by people that I've worked with. Luckily now, you know, as that stuff had happened, I'd just from people like you, like women and people in the Me Too campaign and all sorts, people like speaking out more openly, I kind of found my voice a little bit more, and I was able to have a huge go at the last person who did it. But it doesn't stop it from happening. You know, you have to put those people in line every time it happens. It shouldn't really be falling on the people who are being harassed or groped or abused. It just shouldn't be happening at all. It should be being nipped in the bud by their employers, XYZ by society. But still, it feels like it's women who are having to crusade and educate people about the oppression that they suffer, which sucks.
And yet we're all sat here talking about it. Do you guys think that the Me Too movement has actually changed anything in music?
I really don't think that the Me Too movement barely touched the music industry. Now at this stage of my career, I'm working with lots and lots and lots of different people, and getting asked out in response to me demanding some sort of production changes or something like that. It's like, oh, well, why don't we just go out and get to know each other? I think that's why we're having a misunderstanding. I'm like,
oh,
really?
All the time.
I'm like, that's funny.
We need to chat. No, you just need to turn it up where I said.
all of us know that Weinstein, as we said, was a kind of cataclysmic moment, as it were. Do you think, firstly, that there are key figures like that who are holding this core of misogyny and sexism against women in the music industry together?
I'm still trying to make what I'm doing work.
Yeah.
And I don't have the success or the financial success to name someone who would take everything from me. You know, it takes a huge artist. It's one of the saddest things I've ever said, but that's the truth.
But lots of huge artists have already done it and not been...
Yeah, well, but then there's the other things, like like I know all the tour managers and things like that keep them set their prices really low because I can't play gigs unless we can make the budget work, and those guys get away with their behaviours because people turn a blind eye to it, because it's about your dream and it's about your work being able to be made. Everything I say just comes down to being too miserable. I'm sorry, I can't get any light out of it.
This is kind of part of the systemic issue that we're talking about, isn't it? Is that everyone is aware that in speaking out in this culture of silence that we've got, they are threatening their own career. And everyone is boxed off. And it seems to be that kind of the Weinstein thing happened and Me Too broke because people collected and came together. Yeah. Because there was a feeling that maybe banding together, breaking NDAs in a lot of cases, there would be safety. It's a safety in numbers thing. Do you reckon that could ever happen in the UK music climate?
I mean, it better do. It needs to. All of it comes down to money, I swear. It must do. What else can it be? What else can it be? Like, why else are you pushing Chris Brown on my Spotify homepage? Like, what is it? What do you really need from these artists? Just what you're getting from their back catalogue. Surely. What else can it be? Why else are you letting people be abused? And I think until we start valuing the women or the vulnerable people, their lives, and we see them as like people who have been victimized and who aren't just like less financially viable than this big artist, until we kind of break that open, it's going to be really tricky for people to hear these mini voices against one massive voice and one massive bulk of profit. And listen, because it all comes down to money, you know, and that's really the sad truth of it.
This is the first episode we've done about Me Too and music, but we are planning on keeping this line open and doing a lot more. And if you want to talk to us about your own personal stories, please do get in touch, all in confidence. This is something that's really important. We're on email at thenextepisode@bbc.co.uk or WhatsApp. The number is 07568 608 295. Thank you to Aluna, Chloe and Rebecca for speaking so openly about your experiences. I can only imagine how hard it is. And huge thanks to Sarah from BBC Music Introducing. Also, if you want any support with anything you've heard in today's episode, please visit bbc.co.uk/action line. We haven't had much music in this podcast today, as it just didn't feel quite right, but we will end with a tune. One from BBC Introducing in Devon, that's Sarah's neck of the woods, Ferris and Sylvester. The track is Sickness. Thanks for listening.
I haven't been home in some time. I haven't called my mother. I hear she's saying that I'm doing quite well. I have a painful addiction and a problem with fiction, because it always sounds much better the way I tell. When you're coming home, daughter, when you're coming home, when you're gonna come home, my sister, when you're coming home. I think of all that I've done and all the things I've become, and I don't think that I'm too good for you, son. You say you know me so well, but I don't know myself. I've had a sickness ever since I was young. When you're coming home, daughter, when you're coming home, when you're gonna come home, my sister, when you're coming home. when you're coming home.